In the village of Bama lived a popular food vendor called Bisi. Bisi was a beautiful woman, popularly known in the village for her delicious and tasty meals. She had a food store at the village market. Bisi was very proud of her cooking and always wanted to make sure she was the best cook in the whole village. Everyone sang praises of how tasty Bisi's food was, and she had customers trooping in and out from every part of the village, including women and children, most especially married men. Do you know the secret and strange thing about Bisi's food? The secret is that whenever a married man tastes Bisi's food, he never wants to have a taste of his wife's meal at home. They all gathered every day at Bisi's restaurant to eat her food. Almost all the married men in the village preferred Bisi's food to their wives' meals. Most times, when their wives served them food at home, they would say, "No, I cannot eat this food. This food is not as delicious as Bisi's own. You have to learn how to cook like Bisi because I cannot be eating poison when Bisi's restaurant is there." This continued to happen in almost all the households in the village. All the married men no longer ate their wives' food. They now preferred Bisi's own, Bisi for breakfast, lunch and dinner. This was causing a lot of misunderstandings in their homes. The men even went as far as telling their wives to go to Bisi to learn how to cook from her, because they wondered how Bisi made her meals so tasty and delicious. The wives of these married men could no longer take it anymore, so they decided to have a meeting to find out what they could do to make their husbands come back to them and start eating their meals. As they gathered in the village streets, they started asking each other, "What do you think we should do, my fellow women?" "I think we should go and find out what Bisi uses in her meal that makes our husbands no longer eat from us," another woman suggested. Another woman added that Bisi might have a secret ingredient that she uses for cooking and that they should go and spy on her. After deliberating for some time, they decided that spying on her was not the solution. Instead, they agreed that they would go to Bisi's restaurant and humbly beg her to stop serving their husband's food whenever they visited her restaurant. They all agreed to beg Bisi, and so they headed to Bisi's restaurant to speak with her. When they arrived at Bisi's restaurant, they started to speak to her. One of the women said, "Bisi, please, we are here to beg you. We know you know how to cook very well. You are the best cook in the village. We are not doubting that. But please, we are here to beg you to stop serving our husbands your meal. Whenever our husbands come to your restaurant, please direct them back home to eat our meals instead. Our husbands no longer eat from us, and it is affecting our marriages. We have come to you as women to please help us in this situation." Bisi responded, "What do you mean by that? Are you saying I should chase away my customers because you want your husbands to eat in your house? Am I the one that said you shouldn't know how to cook? Did I drag your husbands to my restaurant to eat my food? Please, if you don't have anything meaningful to say, leave my restaurant. I am a very busy person." The women continued to plead with Bisi, but she chased them all away, telling them to go and find a way to hold their husbands and not to come back to disturb her again. The women left Bisi's restaurant feeling so frustrated and disappointed. They were helpless and didn't know what to do, so they decided to all go back home, hoping that one day the secret to Bisi's meal would be revealed and their husbands would come back to them. Bisi's business continued to flourish, with more and more customers trooping in and out, to the extent that almost all the men now gathered at her restaurant every day. A particular married woman in the village called Adola, whose marriage was not even up to 6 months, started having issues in her home. Do you know why? Because her husband had started eating Bisi's meal. From the very first day her husband tasted Bisi's food, he no longer ate his wife's meal anymore. The woman was wondering what could be going on, so she decided to go see her father in the neighboring village to tell him everything that had been happening. She said to herself, "I cannot take this anymore. My marriage is not even up to 6 months, yet my husband no longer eats my food. I will talk to my father to help me." The thing is that Adola's father was a spiritualist who had the power to foresee things. So Adola set out to the neighboring village to speak with her father. When she got there, she said to her father, "Baba, your daughter is not happy. My husband no longer eats my food. There is a popular food vendor in the village of Bama that my husband now enjoys eating from, and this is causing a problem in my marriage. Baba, please help your daughter. Adela's father set out to work immediately. He consulted his oracle and saw that Bisi was a strong case to handle, so he decided to visit the restaurant himself. Adola's father arrived at Bisi's restaurant, and immediately his eyes locked onto Bisi's smile. He knew that Bisi was aware of who he was. Bisi said to Adola's father, "Ah, Baba, you are welcome to my restaurant. You are just in time for a special treat. My food is the most delicious in the village." Bisi held a steaming bowl of her famous food, and Adola's father's stomach growled in anticipation. His mouth was watering, and he wanted to have a taste of this food that had a beautiful aroma, but he knew better than to accept her offer. Adola's father now said to her, "You are Bisi, right? I need to speak with you." Bisi responded with a smile. "Of course, Baba, I'm always happy to help. But first, let me offer you a bowl of this delicious food. Once you taste my food, you will never remain the same again." Adola's father said to her, "The main reason why I am here is for you to confess. Bisi, you know what you have been doing in this village, and I am here to make sure your secret is exposed. If you don't make an attempt to confess, you will regret it." Bisi started being harsh to Adola's father and said, "Baba, I don't know what you're talking about. In this restaurant, all we do here is sell delicious food. I'm sure you must have heard about me by now, so I don't know what you're saying. Don't come to my store to accuse me wrongly. If you want to eat, please eat. If you don't want to eat, don't spoil my business. Just get up and leave." Adola's father responded, "Bisi, I am warning you for the last time. You are causing so much pain in marriages through your food. Men no longer eat their wives' food. Confess now before I make it an open case." Bisi responded, "You are just being too paranoid, old man. What is all this talk about me holding people's husbands? Am I the one that told their wives not to know how to cook? I don't know what you're talking about." Adola's father saw how stubborn Bisi was, so he decided to do a silent incantation to get her to confess. Immediately he touched Bisi, and she started screaming, "I am sorry. Yes, yes, I will confess." She admitted that she had been using her menstrual flow to prepare meals, ensuring that married men only craved her food. The villagers were furious and banished Bisi from Bama. Moral of the story: be careful of what you eat, wait for God's time, and never repay evil with evil.